What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Second Passport, and today we're going to do a little bit of dreaming and a little bit of trip planning. I swear I should have been a trip planner. And we are going to see the 5 cheapest international side trips from Ecuador, right? Now, the knock on living in South America, I get it, compared to a place like Europe or maybe the Caribbean, is in places like the Caribbean or Europe, you've got a bunch of very unique, different places at an arm's reach, right? And you can get there cheaply due to the budget airline Spirit, specifically in the Caribbean. Europe has the founders of budget airlines there, Ryanair and EasyJet and those others. And in South America, you know, this is a huge continent and so super long and everything. And distances are really, really far to try to do them by land, right? Buses and cars, like I've done it myself. From the Ecuador border to Lima is 24-hour bus ride, and it sucks. And it's just like going through the Sahara Desert. It's super dry along the coast of Peru, and you know, and flights, for whatever reason, just the budget airlines have not really made it here that much, right? So even just fly from next door Ecuador to Peru can be quite pricey, and that's kind of deterred people maybe from moving to a place like South America, because I get it, you're retired or you're working online, you don't, but you know, you like Ecuador, but you want to be able to travel to a lot of other places, a lot of, you know, kind of easy and cheap, right? So that's what we're going to look at today, 5 of the cheapest options, international, that you can travel to from Ecuador, and I'm going to give you one little tip to beat the airlines at their own game. Now, this first option here is obviously not international. It is part of Ecuador. Any Ecuadorian will quickly tell you that. But prices have really dropped in the last couple years, so I thought I'd mention it. It used to be $400 or $450 easy round trip from the Ecuador mainland, Quito, Guayaquil, to the Galapagos. But actually, it's come down. It's been cut in half in the last couple years, and now you can find a ticket round trip from Quito for $232 pretty easily, booking about a month in advance, right? And you can see beaches like this. It does remind me of the South Pacific mixed with Latin America culture, right? So it is a pretty unique place. It looks totally different than the mainland beaches of Ecuador. But the cheapest international destination from Ecuador that I have found is obviously to next door Bogota. The budget airline Wingo now flies from Quito to Bogota direct. You can get from Quito to Bogota, which is a huge distance if you try to do it by land. I have myself. It sucks. You're talking 30, 35, 40 hours or something. Like close to 48 hours by land if you try to do it by land. It's crazy long. But if you do it by air, you can get there in an hour and a half. And round trip now, it's $236, just booking about a month in advance, right? Bogota, just a beautiful South American capital, a really nice historic district, La Candelaria, a whole bunch of cultural things to do, museums, Simón Bolívar's house you can visit, and just a lot of cool, neat, cosmopolitan stuff to do. And it is the cheapest international destination from Ecuador mainland that I have found. Right, almost as cheap. The second destination, also in Colombia, is Cartagena round trip, $277 from Quito. And Cartagena, obviously, you get Caribbean beaches right nearby Cartagena, and a beautiful old town, just a gorgeous old town, and some other really interesting places to visit. Right, the third option is our last option. Also, we're going to mention in Colombia, but it's on the San Andres Islands, right? Just gorgeous, gorgeous Caribbean islands that most people don't even realize are owned by Colombia, and that's how we can get there so cheaply, right? For 290 or so bucks, They're islands that are actually right in the Caribbean Sea, but more off the coast of Nicaragua. But you can get there super cheap from Ecuador, round trip, 290 bucks. Definitely worth it. Definitely the cheapest Caribbean island you can get to from Ecuador. Say you want to go south to the cone of South America, right? Which has a lot of cool things to see and do. Starting with obviously the world famous Machu Picchu, right over here in Cusco in southern Peru. Well, if you try to fly from anywhere in Ecuador, which is really only two options, Quito or Guayaquil, the only two international airports that exist in Ecuador. If you try to fly from Guayaquil, the southernmost of the two, to anywhere south like Lima, it's expensive. Round trip, you're looking at minimum $465, and that's booking a month or two in advance, right? Super steep. But here's the trick that I promised you to beat the airlines when it comes to South American travel. And that is, instead of flying from Guayaquil, just take a bus or some sort of land transport about 4 hours south. It's not too far, and it's flat, not mountain driving, and cross the Peruvian border by land, right? Airlines don't think most people will bother doing this, so they price their flights accordingly, but we can beat them if we just do this little 4-hour trek by land. Machala is a great place to overnight if you've never seen it. Really, really good seafood. And they have islands right off the shore here that a lot of mangroves that you can tour pretty easily, and it's a super interesting place to visit actually. And then you cross this border to this border town of Tumbes. It seems even closer than it looks on the map. Like, it seems like it's right on the border, but actually it isn't. It's like probably a half-hour in. And there's even this really nice beach nearby if you want to visit called Mancora. Mancora. It's a Peruvian beach. It's super nice, and it's different than Ecuadorian beaches in that it's super dry. Right? I've been there myself. Very nice, really good food, really cheap. But instead of paying the $465 round trip from Guayaquil to Lima, say you want to go to Machu Picchu, you can now fly with LATAM, a credible airline that's present in Ecuador, fly from Tumbes to Cusco, not Lima, but right to Cusco itself, for $59. One way, right? Double that for round trip. So 59 bucks you can get from basically the Ecuador border to Cusco and Machu Picchu, right? Right. For this fifth option is a whole bunch of kind of spin-offs or options, you could say, from this last option that I mentioned. Say you fly to Peru, Cusco to Lima, and then once you're in Lima, there's this cheap budget airline called Sky that's based out of Santiago that flies to Lima. And you can get from Lima to Santiago, Chile, super cheap. If you book a month or two in advance, 87 bucks one way, right? And once you're in Santiago, you can go to places like Torres del Paine, just gorgeous glaciers, one way, LATAM, $37. Or maybe you could ski, like near Santiago, at the world famous Portillo ski resort, something that's definitely on my bucket list. Once you're in Santiago itself, for whatever reason, it's cheaper to travel to this whole southern cone of South America and get to Brazil much, much cheaper from Santiago. So you can extend your trip out a little bit, right, and take a super cheap flight over to, say, Buenos Aires. For $76 with this Sky airline, booking about a month in advance, you can go to the wonderful, beautiful cultural city of Buenos Aires. They say a little piece of Europe in the Americas, and it's true. You could try Paraguay from Chile for $106 one way. You could go over, and I've heard the markets in Paraguay are super interesting to visit. And you could visit the waterfall, one of the most popular in the world, to visit the Falls de Iguazu right on the Paraguay and Brazil border. Or you could try something totally different and fly right into Sao Paulo, Brazil, right? And you can get there also through Sky for $100 from Santiago to Sao Paulo, booking a month or two in advance. And it's not even that far. It's a almost 4-hour flight. Once you're in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the whole country of Brazil is easily accessible by plane. Do not bus it. Buses are expensive in Brazil, and the distances are really far, right? But you can get like to the north coast of Brazil, like Salvador or Recife. Beautiful, gorgeous, almost Caribbean-esque beaches for super cheap. Like flying from Sao Paulo to Salvador is $53 one way, booking about a month in advance. Finish off your trip from Brazil here back to Ecuador, say where you're living. I found this little trick. It's the cheapest way I've found is Sao Paulo to Quito, not to Guayaquil. That's more expensive. But through Avianca, Avianca has a flight that's $181 from Sao Paulo to Quito. But if you try to flip it and go the other way, it's like 3 times more expensive. But these are the 5 cheapest international side trips you could take being an expat in a place like Ecuador. Obviously, I didn't mention going north too much because, ironically, flying, if you've noticed, flying just to Panama or Central America or Mexico from Ecuador is still quite pricey. And even flying to the most Caribbean destinations in Ecuador is also still quite pricey, and they route you through Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, which a lot of us don't want to bother doing. You know, we want to fly straight there. Anyway, I'm Mr. Second Passport. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button below. Take care.